this potato they were growing. And they invited me out to a farm in Idaho, to several farms in Idaho where they were selling their products. I was coming from the East Coast, and I had this idea of agriculture as being these small, cute little farms with picket fences. And I hadn't been in a really big Western farm. And I go to this farm, and the driveway is miles, and it's 35,000 acres. And it is divided into crop circles, which are each 175 acres with a big sweep second hand going around. You've seen these from the air flying over the country. And it's in a desert, but these circles are green, and this sweep second hand is putting out water and fertilizer and pesticide. And it's being remote controlled from inside by this farmer. He's got he's got 9 circles on each of 10 computer screens. And I said, why do you do it this way? He says, well, some of the pesticides we use, you don't want to be out in the field. And he described, said, well, give me an example. He said, well, we use something called monitor. And monitor is such a potent neurotoxin that you have to stay out of the field for 5 days. And even if an irrigation pivot breaks, you don't go out and fix it. You just lose that 175 acres because it's really serious. And I said, oh, why do you have to use monitor? And he said, well, it controls net necrosis. And I said, what's net necrosis? And he said, well, when you cut open a potato or look at a French fry, you see that brown line or brown specks, that's net necrosis. And I said, what's wrong with net necrosis? He said it's a purely cosmetic defect, but McDonald's doesn't tolerate net necrosis, and they're the big buyer of potatoes. And net necrosis is spread by an aphid, and so you control the aphid with this monitor. And I said, is there any other way to do it? He said, well, you could plant another kind of potato besides russet Burbanks. They're the one that has net necrosis. And I said, why don't you do that? He said, well, McDonald's only buys russet Burbanks. And why is that? Well, because they like it's the longest potato, and they like their French fries to be as long as possible. And of course they do. Those little red boxes with the bouquet of long French fries. We like that. That's the ideal. So I suddenly saw how this whole system was connected, that you have large companies trying to appeal to us and our standards, forcing practices on farmers that if we knew about it at the consumer end, we would never tolerate. So after he harvests these potatoes, he showed me this giant shed that's as big as this theater, where he has to store the potatoes for something like 6 weeks in a giant mound. It was like a great pyramid of potatoes. Is that you? Anyway, to quickly finish up, I said, what do they do? Why are the potatoes here? He said, oh, you can't eat them because they have so many systemic pesticides that you can't eat them until they've off-gassed all these chemicals. Wow. So I had no idea how we're growing French fries, and that's how we're growing French fries. And that's really when I said, I think there's a book to be written on where our food comes from, because nobody knows this stuff, and it's been hidden from us. And that really launched me on the path that led to Omnivore's Dilemma. We are. Thank you.